From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MVW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neil McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neil McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. I hope you had a wonderful and safe Independence Day, 4th of July, weekend, 4-day weekend there. Appreciate the patience with us as we spend some time with family and whatnot. Back with you here today. Should have a full week as we get ready. One more week until SEC Media Days. Media Days back in Birmingham next week. It was in Atlanta for a year. People seem to think it's headed to Dallas next year, but back in Birmingham. So we'll have lots of football talk on the show next week, and really moving forward, kind of the last week before we don't go football heavy, don't go football centric with this here show. It's brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 in Oxford. You know about the daiquiris, as cheap as $3.99, as big as 44 ounces if you so desire. The lunch specials that are $4.99 as well. They are two sides bread, 32-ounce drink included. Pick up some ribs on the way home tonight, wet or dry. Call ahead, they'll have them ready to go. They'll wrap them up, just walk in, pay for them, and be on your way. And you can save some money at the pump with the mobile rewards program, the Speed Pass Plus app, and much more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are, and if you are in the mood for a Ford F-150, this is the week for you. They really need to move some at Clark Ford in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Corey wants me to tell you they will not be beat if they've got it in stock. So if you've been thinking about a Ford F-150, I drive one, highly recommend it. If you've been thinking of a Ford F-150, this is the week for you. Give them a call, 662-257-1900. Ask for Tom or Alan. See what they have in stock. Corey says they will not be beat by another dealership. So 662-257-1900, Clark Ford in Amory, Mississippi. And here's what I can tell you. After you get your Ford F-150, you'll be thrilled that you bought it from Clark Ford. Great delivery options. They take care of you, service options, all the things that you could want from a car dealer, a truck dealer. Clark Ford is all of those things.
Well, I tell you, if you woke up this morning as an extra podcast in your feed, today was the inaugural episode of Bourbon South. They showed that myself and Oxford local Steve Thomas is doing maybe once a week, and not just about bourbon. It's kind of centered around bourbon, but life, conversations, people we kind of find interesting. You'll get that once a week in your MPW digital feed. It'll have its own, at least, home for you to go and listen on site soon. But one of the rules of the podcast, don't just put one episode in an iTunes feed. So we are putting it over here for this week, and then we'll see where we head moving forward next couple weeks. But Ross B. York, our first guest, obviously former Ole Miss athletics director, now at Texas A&M. Today is his first official day with the Aggies. We set it up where he had agreed to do the show before he actually left Ole Miss, and then we taped it in the interim period, if you will, between his two gigs. So there's some Ole Miss stuff in there. There's some Oxford stuff in there. There's talking about just moving your family, what changing jobs kind of entails. Some final thoughts on his time with the Rebels and much more. So you can find that all the places that you find this podcast today. And our thought is to publish every Monday or Tuesday moving forward. We've already recorded 5, 6, 7 episodes, something like that. So we'll bring those to you. But you don't have to be a bourbon lover. You can just enjoy the conversation as well. But if you do, you'll probably pick up some things along the way also. So that is this morning, the inaugural episode. You can find that on the internet.
I think I'm speaking out of school when I say that I think our plan for MPW Digital moving forward is to put all of our family podcast in the same podcast feed. It's just going to be much simpler for us to manage. And it's going to be easier for the...
I think it's better for the consumer. I've polled some people. I've talked to a lot of people about it. You can give us your thoughts on Twitter or the message board, what you're thinking. But yeah, because it does a couple different things. But I think it was better because most of our listeners, obviously they listen to this show more than any other, but they have at least some interest in all of our offerings, and I think by putting them in the same feed, make sure they're labeled properly, you know what you're getting, I think it is just easier. You don't have to look in multiple places, you know exactly where to go to get all the shows, and we're also working on some website kind of stuff too that will make this easy for you with our offerings. So I think once that's ready, everything kind of will go into one place, we'll funnel into a location, and we'll make it the best we can for the consumer moving forward.
Yeah, and I just deleted a handful of podcasts. It took me, I don't know, about a second and a half to delete 3. So it's not hard to say, no, I don't want to listen to that and delete it or whatever. It's not eating up your data.
I'm bad about not deleting a lot. I'll have to go in and really spend a few minutes because I will just forget, and I'll have hundreds backed up on my phone if I'm not careful. One of those things that I'm kind of OCD in a couple areas, but that's not one. I really don't mind all the whatever that little red circle is on your phone by podcast. I don't really care if it's 300-400 or whatever it says. That doesn't bug me.
Oh,
So,
gotcha. That drives me insane.
does it really?
Oh, yeah.
No, it doesn't bother me. Like right now, there's 8 next to YouTube on videos, and then I have 59 unread emails at the moment.
Yeah, I'm bad. The email starts getting up over about 200, and I'll lose my mind. I have to go handle it right then.
Do you put tons in folders and things that you might need later?
No.
Do you not?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
I have folders everywhere because I'm paranoid I'm going to need that at some point.
I just roll the dice, man.
Okay. I probably have a dozen folders on the left side where I put stuff. I'd like the primary inbox to be clean, but no, I've got archived emails for days.
I probably should, but I haven't.
You just completely delete them all.
Yep.
Ooh. Now, see, that would drive me insane. Completely drive me insane. Greatest Pod in the South is up. Y'all recorded a couple days ago. I listened to about 30 minutes of it yesterday, so it is available everywhere that you get Greatest Pod in the South. If nothing else, you learned that Jay wears pool shoes, which is incredibly strange, but it's okay. That's there. A lot of 4th of July stuff. Did y'all get into sports at some point, or was it pretty much just what GPITS typically is?
We talked about how the SEC is trying to make the revelation of who's going to SEC Media Days breaking news.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we just kind of made fun of it. We basically made fun of Media Days. We do this every year. It's an exercise in pure futility. I'm going. I'll freely admitted it there. I'll admit it here. I'm going basically for podcast interview purposes.
I think that were it not for podcast interviews, we would make the decision not to go.
Yeah, the only other thing that you get out of it is that Tuesday morning. I think Ole Miss goes Tuesday morning. That Tuesday morning, probably 30 minutes or so before Matt Luke does his tour, we'll meet in a hotel room, a hotel suite. Everybody does it with him, the beat writers and such. And we'll get, I don't know, 10 to 12 minutes of Matt Luke. And we haven't talked to Matt Luke all summer. So we'll get him and we'll ask whatever. And before he gets to the big stage where everybody, all the national guys are doing their national things. And yeah, other than that and the podcast interviews, there's really nothing. Unless you're working on a lot of big picture stuff, and frankly, I'm not. I did that a few years ago, and I didn't think it paid off. I didn't think people liked it. And, I mean, I'll write a notebook some each day, maybe, possibly, perhaps. I'm not positive people read. Like, if I'm writing about, I don't know, LSU, Missouri, and Tennessee, I just don't know that people on our site are really going to read that. I do think we've gotten past the point where, I remember when I started this, Chase, we're going to get to Terence Davis and stuff in a minute.
Yeah, we're all good. We got time.
I remember when I started this, the first year or two, like, you know, there's 3 or 4 days of media days, and Ole Miss obviously only goes one of those days. I would, you know, like if I wrote about, I don't know, Arkansas, and I would put an Arkansas picture out front with the story about Arkansas, and people would lose their freaking minds. I don't want an Arkansas picture on an Ole Miss site. And I was like, man, this is different than even I thought it would be. I think people have cooled with that because if they're used to our site, certainly you see pictures of everything. God only knows what pictures you see. I mean, we are a far more diverse site than 99.99% of our rivals' colleagues. So I don't think we get that anymore. Yet I don't know that it's worth my time next Monday to write about Tennessee or whoever's going to be there. Now, I'll write about maybe Sankey's speech and some of the stuff that has, that would be interesting to our people, but I don't know that they really care to read what I say about Florida or whatnot.
And what's funny about it is we and I listened to it yesterday. Again, you and Jay agreed. A lot of reporters around different SEC schools would agree with this. That meeting with Matt Luke, Gus Malzahn, whomever, we all go, yeah, that's the reason you go. Well, okay, we're all driving or flying hours to talk to someone that is 5 minutes away is the funniest part of that for me. You know what I mean? We could all meet at the airport prior to them getting on the plane to fly to Hoover and have the exact same experience.
Yeah, but you already know what that is.
Well, it's getting everyone over there. It's
the league frown at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the league wants. I mean, listen. Again. Maybe it's too late now. Probably not. If you really want to go to media days as a quote media member, comma close quote, all you have to do is go apply. Start a blog, call it joesmith.com, and you can go representing joesmith.com and get a credential and everything at SEC Media Days because they just want numbers.
Three minutes ago on Twitter, Tony Barnhart, a week from today, we'll be in Hoover, Alabama with 1,000 friends for SEC Media Days. Yikes. Fast summer. Are you ready for some football?
Yeah, and people like him are the ones that they do for the league exactly what the league wants. It's this it's July what was 12th, 13th, and they're doing the whole football's here. It's not here. It's another 3 weeks till they practice. But that's what they do, and the league does this, and it's a hype machine. And I get it from a network standpoint because for 4 days they'll own the airwaves because there's nothing else going on. The league puts it they moved it up a week basically from the old days because they have the SEC network and this gives them programming, and then the week after that the coaches go up to Bristol and stuff. It's all basically programmed. But so much of this is so that they'll have programming for the SEC network. And I get it. I don't blame them at all.
And they give us content, so frankly, thank God, in a very dead period of the year.
Yeah, because we're running out of stuff to talk about too, and people want you to talk football, and the truth is it's hard to talk football until you can talk to the people that are part of football. I think big announcement regarding who's going, and I'm using the word big announcement in quotes, I think that comes tomorrow. Maybe it's Wednesday. I'm not sure.
Is there any guarantee from the Ole Miss side? Because usually you get one or two for sure, and this time I don't know that there's anybody where I wouldn't be kind of worried if I had to bet a lot of money on them going.
Yeah, I just don't know. Matt Luke's the type I would think that will take seniors. I don't even know who they took last year. I paid no attention.
Coatney, Tamu, and somebody else.
Yeah.
I apologize to that person. I just don't remember.
I don't remember either.
It might have been DK or AJ now that I think about it. I think it was AJ.
I think it was AJ.
I think that's right. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know who
I would send Scotty, even though he's not a huge media guy, doesn't love doing it.
No, he's very vanilla.
And I would send Matt Corral. He's your dude. Make him your dude.
I would absolutely send Matt Corral. I wrote this in 10 Thoughts.
Frankly, he'd be one of the more interesting people there to talk to.
He would be, and I think it would be for him. It would actually be worthwhile.
Have some benefit to it.
Well, yeah. Hey, man, you've got to be the face of this program. And
so go be the face of the program.
You've got to be composed on the field. You've got to be composed off the field. If a bunch of fat old men can get you upset, it's not good.
It's a good point.
I mean, I'm totally serious. If you can't handle a throng of 50 fat old men with cell phones pointing at you, how are you going to handle Tuscaloosa? I think for him it would be one of the very few times that there would actually be a benefit involved in going to SEC Media Days.
Are they announcing the new location at Media Days this year?
It's my understanding, and I'm almost positive it's Dallas next year.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
They're rotating it, but I think it's going to go to Dallas. I think they're going to put it in Nashville. I think they're going to take it back to Atlanta. They're going to move it around. Someone told me St. Louis. They're going to move it around.
I'm not shocked by Dallas. St. Louis would kind of shock me a little. So far out of the footprint.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if it starts to backfire on them when they do that, because Birmingham is so easy for everyone to get to.
Yeah, it's an easy epicenter.
And Atlanta is an easy epicenter.
Yeah.
And Nashville's an easy epicenter. But, like,
Dallas or St. Louis.
I do wonder if, the guy's working over there at the Cullinan Times, and he's going to – I do wonder whether he's going to actually go to Dallas. My guess is not.
Yeah, I think you lose 200 to 300 people at this thing if they move it to Dallas.
Of course, I say that, and yet I'm consistently stunned at what some of the small newspapers around here do with college coverage, where they take money and light it on fire.
Yeah. We'll get into Terence Davis in a second. Big day for him yesterday. Before we do that, I'll tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting that understands your market, a leader in condo financing and the float-down option, so you can lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you get the lower rate. Also, interest rates, the lowest they've been in about 2 years. So if you bought or refinanced during that time, maybe another good opportunity to talk to Jason to see if you can save some money along the way. 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
The podcast is also brought to you by Dead Soxy. Hot weather, extremely hot weather, is here. With it comes the inevitable debate of sock or no sock with your loafers. So save your shoes and your feet from making their own impression and step into the summer with some no-shows from Dead Soxy. You really need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. It's the first step in dressing for the job you want and not the job you have. So go to deadsoxy.com, enter the promo code Rebel Grove at checkout, receive 30% off all orders, including sale items. The no-shows are the same quality you already love and enjoy with their traditional dress socks, and they come with the no-slip guarantee. So go to deadsoxy.com, check out their no-show collection, and remember to enter promo code Rebel Grove at checkout for 30% off all orders. You don't want to miss 1 minute of the action at the Vault this season. Ole Miss football arrives in September. Arkansas is the first game. Reserve your season tickets with the new 2019 season ticket pricing for just $299. For more information, visit OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com. Podcast also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, represents clients in more than 20 states. It was founded in 1997. Pinnacle Trust provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. They also have the Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory services, where they specialize in a variety of different types of plans, including 401k plans, 403b plans. They can help plan sponsors benchmark their current 401k plan, consult on current plan designs, provide ongoing plan and investment fund reviews, manage employee communication and investment education, and conduct a plan sponsor fiduciary analysis. Tell Pinnacle Trust that you heard about them on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. It's pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com.
So, Terrence Davis, again, huge day for him yesterday. Plays in his first game of the NBA Summer League with the Denver Nuggets, and he scored 22 points. He was 8 of 13 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3. Kind of lit it up. Was the story of the day from that game following it. And the Toronto Raptors, the NBA champions, wasted not much time at all. Later in the day, he signs a 2-year contract with the Raptors, first year guaranteed on that. That is reported first by, I guess, Shams of The Athletic had that. But just a huge deal. I know I'll let you kind of take over, but a guy who turned down a couple two-way offers, which would involve the G League and the NBA, bet on himself and came up in absolute roses here very soon after, because this puts a lot of money in his pocket, and this gives him a legitimate opportunity to make head with an NBA roster.
Oh, he's on an NBA roster. He's going to play. He's going to play for the Toronto Raptors. It's a great – first of all, it's a great story. We could spend a whole hell of a lot of time telling the Terence Davis story, and we probably should. I mean, here's a kid who wanted to play basketball, did not have that many opportunities to play college basketball. Andy Kennedy and Bill Armstrong and that staff, I know I'll get pushback for this. I don't really care. They deserve a ton of credit. They recruited Terence Davis with the belief that he had NBA potential. Really raw, and they knew it. He also was a very good high school football player. Probably a better high school football player than he was a high school basketball player. And he goes to the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star thingy in, I don't know if it was in Montgomery or Mobile or wherever it was at that time. But I can remember he was really good in practice at wide receiver and looked like he could play DB as well. And there were some people there with Rivals, Scout, whoever was active at the time, who were talking about him as, man, this guy is a football prospect. And Terrence goes to Ole Miss. He gets involved in the basketball program, obviously, from day one. He doesn't play much as a freshman. Looks really raw, does some athletic things, but he got so much outside noise, Chase, from people. Hey, man, you ought to play football. You ought to get out of this basketball thing and play football. Football. We live in this football crazy part of the country, and I'm not making fun of it. It's fine. But he got so much of that, and he never listened to it. He literally let it just be nothing but fuel. He thought he was a basketball player. He believed in himself. He had a goal. And then he had a great sophomore year, and the football noise shut up. Truth is, he had a bad junior year. He was not good. That team was not good. We've chronicled how the whole thing fell apart. I think he got super down on himself. Bill Armstrong was gone. He didn't have that filter between Andy and he anymore. That relationship, I think, got a little sour. And he get the football stuff kicked back up. Hey, you still have time to play college football. You're not going to play in the NBA. You still have time to play college football. And he didn't listen to it. Instead, when Kermit Davis came in, he just decided that day, you know what? I'm going to give this guy a chance. I'm going to try to get better. I'm just going to keep working at it because why not? And he had a pretty good senior year. I keep telling people, replacing him on this team next year is going to be more difficult and more problematic than people give it credit for being. And since the NCAA tournament ended, he has just had, Chase, a phenomenal offseason. It literally could not have gone better. And he gambled on himself, as you mentioned, in the draft. He could have gone in the second round on a two-way deal. A lot of people, self-included, hand raised, were like, man, I don't know. I think I'd do that. He didn't. He gambled that there was a place for him in the NBA right now, and he was phenomenal in Chicago at the camp, and he was great with the Nuggets. He's really impressed, and he was phenomenal last night. And give the Raptors credit, and we'll get into this a little bit. All of these things are intertwined. The Raptors lost out on Kawhi Leonard on Friday night, Saturday morning. They've got a bunch of guys, Kyle Lowry, Danny Green signed with the Lakers. They've got Kyle Lowry, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, all on expiring deals. They're about to rebuild around Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, OJ Anunoby. There's a place for Terence Davis. He's going to get an opportunity this year, and the Raptors have had success with they've had real success with Fred VanVleet as an undrafted guy who's become a part of their core. They have it's one of the best organizations in the NBA. They take care of their players. They're very good at development. This is an ideal landing spot for a kid like Terrence, and he has the sort of personality that the people in Toronto are going to love. He's going to get, like I said, he's going to get an opportunity to learn from some veterans here the first few months of his season. He's going to get to play with the defending champs, but more importantly, he's going to get to learn from Kyle Lowry, from Marc Gasol, from Serge Ibaka, from some guys like that about how to be an NBA veteran, how to be a professional. And then those guys are going to leave, and he's going to get an opportunity to play. These next 2 years are huge for him, and if he stays on this arc, he's got a chance to be their starting two guard. Not right away, but all they have at the two is like Norman Powell, and they got guys that are movable. I can't even think of the backup's name, but his name's been on the trade block for a year. There are minutes to be had probably midway through this first year for Terence Davis if he keeps on this path that he's on right now. He gets it. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's expanded his shot. His shot looks so much better right now. He's freakishly athletic, and he's pretty dialed in on defense. And then I think, and I watched some of the stuff last night, I think he's a guy who benefits from being surrounded by more consistently better players.
We didn't have to do too much. He has to do one thing. He has to do what he does well. That's it. You know what I mean? There's no taking over the game necessarily. There's no this, there's no that. It's, hey, here's your lane. Stay in it. Do it well. Shoot. Defend. Yeah, he's a better defender than he's ever been before.
And with Toronto, if it works out the way I can see it working out, he's not going to be asked to do anything other than provide energy off the bench, come in, play defense. I think he can guard both the 1 and the 2. I think on occasion he could guard a 3. Not the bigger threes, but he could guard some of the smaller threes. He'll have 6 fouls to give, take some shots, play with energy, give guys a break, be a 3-and-D guy. And there's a long-term place in the league for a 3-and-D guy. That being said, the way that he played last night, now it's Summer League, and there's a long list of people that have played well in the Summer League and disappeared. But if he can take that and build on it, and he has to build on it, because of what Toronto's getting ready to do. Look, they won the Kawhi Leonard trade. Toronto won it forever and ever. They gave up DeMar DeRozan and Danny Green and got Kawhi, and they won a title. Now, they would have loved to have kept Kawhi and built around Kawhi and Paul George and maybe Russell Westbrook. We'll probably talk about that in a little bit. That they wanted to continue with Kawhi. But when Kawhi made the decision to go to the Clippers, to go home, the Ujiri and the people in Toronto, the decision's easy to make at this point. Okay, had a hell of a run, won a title. No one can ever take that title away from us. We're the champs. But realistically, it's time to kind of rebuild. It's time to sort of tear it down, build it back, build around Pascal Siakam, who's potentially a superstar, and start surrounding him with some different sort of players. And a guy like Terence Davis will have a chance, a real chance to play a big role in that rebuild.
I saw Terrence play basketball for the first time was it New Albany, the Hotbed Classic, is that what it's called? It was South Haven was there, and then it was a chance to get him and DK Metcalf at the same time, because DK played basketball at Oxford. And I remember watching him and going, okay, best athlete on the floor, just maybe one of the better athletes I've ever seen on a basketball court. And at the time, I thought, he can't shoot at all. So raw, so whatever. I mean, it's the development, and I know that obviously 4 or 5 years later, whatever it is, you're going to develop so much, but his development has been off the charts from when I saw him that night. I mean, it was a football player, it was an athlete trying to play basketball. Now he's just a basketball player, and I mean that's not something to take lightly, take for granted. That's a road that takes a lot of work, and he got there because From free throws to everything, I just looked and went, he's a hell of an athlete, but I don't know. And here it is.
There's a ton of credit that belongs to Andy Kennedy, Bill Armstrong, Todd Abernathy, Kermit Davis, Ronnie Hamilton, but mostly to Terence Davis. He just put the work in. And he's always been an elite athlete with a great body. But you look at him right now, he's changed his body since March. He very clearly has worked really hard.
What's allowed him to improve so much defensively? What is it?
Just getting mentally dialed in. Playing with better players. Understanding your role. I mean, he got a lot of blame at times last year, but I don't like criticizing college players. He played on the same defense with a couple of guys that were pretty bad on defense last year. I mean, if Breein Tyree wants to be a professional player, he's got to get better on defense. A hell of a lot better. I mean, some of the times that last year when TD got blamed for mistakes, their post defense was abysmal at times. I mean, Bruce Stevens, Dominic Olenichik, and then you had 2 freshmen out there on the floor a lot that made freshman mistakes. I'm not ripping anybody. I'm just, now he's on the floor with pros.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
He'll learn a lot. He'll get to practice every day against Kyle Lowry, Norman Powell, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet. He'll be in the same locker room with Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam. Guys who've just won a title, man. Champs. Say what you want. They won a championship. They had a parade and everything. He's going to get to learn a lot of stuff and play in a great organization.
First Ole Miss player, we think, since Justin Reed that will actually participate in an NBA regular season game. It's one guy, but it's a start, and it's a start Ole Miss has been trying to get for a really long time. I mean, I watched Justin Reed in 2007, and I don't think he lasted a whole lot longer after that point. So we're talking a decade, potentially a decade plus, just having a roster member, no matter what that role is. What does that do for this program?
Oh, it's potentially huge. in large part because of the kind of personality that Terrence has. It gives them an opportunity to finally have, like you said, just a presence in the league. Maybe Chase and I are both wrong, and if we are, I'm sure we will hear about it. I don't think Tarico White ever played in a game.
No, I'm looking at it here on Tarico. He was taken with the 36th overall pick in the 2010 draft. He played for the Pistons in the Summer League. Let's see. But then it looks like he broke something in his foot and then missed the entire 10-11 season. He was cut by the Pistons in December of 11 following the lockout. And then he spent preseason with the Hornets, got released again due to back issues, and then he played a few seasons in the developmental league and then again with the Clippers in the Summer League in 12. And he's been in Europe ever since. So, no.
Yeah. So it's their... God, what a drought.
Unless I'm forgetting somebody, it's Justin Reed, whenever that was.
I can't remember anybody. Marshall Henderson never played in the NBA. Chris Warren never played in the NBA.
No.
Murphy didn't play in the NBA. Reginald Butner didn't play in the NBA. If there's somebody, man, it's just slipping my mind. I can't think of it.
Reed was waived June 14, 2007.
Yeah, I know.
So I saw him in the last 2 months of his career.
Yeah. So it's a big deal. I just think it's more than anything. It's a hell of a life lesson. I give the guy a ton of credit. I've said this before, even before today happened. It takes real guts to tell other people to kiss your ass. I'm following my dreams.
Yeah, because if it doesn't work, you're just done.
Yeah, but he always had the attitude of, it's my life. I'm not going to have regrets. I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to chase it. And hey, look, the work's not over. I mean, he now is given this phenomenal opportunity.
He can just go to work. He doesn't have to be frantic. He doesn't have to worry about tomorrow necessarily.
No,
but he's got to. Yeah, you got to get to work though.
I think he will, based on the way that he's worked the last 16, 17 months. He had a hell of a year. It wasn't always consistent, but that guy had some big games. Big moments. I'm happy for him. He's one of my favorite kids I've ever covered. Always accountable. Always came and talked to us. A lot of times those guys didn't want to talk to us. He always did. The media will love him. Here's this kid from the Deep South. He's going to play in Canada.
Yeah.
In a basketball crazy city. They love the Raptors now more than ever. He's got the type of personality that if his game follows, it could just be an absolutely perfect fit.
Yeah. Continue that talk or talk about something else in 1 second. Before we do that, I'll tell you about Master Cuts Lawn and Landscape. You know, they got premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi, but they have a lot more as well. They build your custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, any outdoor living space with paver patios, forestry mulching, and much more. The path to your dream backyard, easier than you think. You can find them online at gomastercuts.com for a free quote or 662-607-7773. Again, gomastercuts.com.
Our podcast is also sponsored by our friends at Blue Delta Jeans. If you aren't going to be in Oxford until maybe football season and you're worried that you can't get into a pair of Blue Delta jeans until then, don't worry. Fret not. These guys travel everywhere. For example, today through Wednesday, they're going to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you want to get a fitting, send them an email, info at bluedeltajeans.com. They'll be in Aspen, Colorado Friday through Sunday as a trunk show at the Hotel Jerome. It sounds like it's going to be a real. It's just tough work for Blake and the guys to be there in Aspen at the Hotel Jerome this weekend. The first part of next week they'll be in Houston, and then Thursday the 18th through Tuesday the 23rd they'll be in New York City. And Friday through Sunday, the 19th through the 21st, they have a trunk show in the Hamptons. So if you live up in that area or you're going to be there, you want to get a fitting, again, info at bluedeltajeans.com. Podcast also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. They sponsor my mailbag, which typically runs every Wednesday. It is home to Soul Spa, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. It's also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, where you can sip on a creative craft cocktail or enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. You don't want to miss Chef Caden's offerings. They're terrific, and you can get them right there at the Westin Jackson. And the podcast brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Whether you're thinking about a golf trip, thinking about a trip to the Caribbean, to Florida, to Scotland, Ireland, Paris, whatever the case may be, get in touch with John. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. What you do is you give him a call, you give him some options, give him some parameters, give him a budget, and he'll give you options. It's that simple, and you're not committed to anything until you sign. So, and you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of the services either. 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
The Blue Deltas, their stuff, they've been introducing a new Holland and Sherry or new fabric every day on their Instagram page. You can see those on Instagram. Obviously, we saw those at the 5th anniversary of them being on the square a couple months ago. They've been at different trunk shows, including at Wonderbird, the event we went to in Taylor at that gin distillery here recently. But you can see all those new fabrics on Instagram. The navy honeycomb continues to catch my eye as I look at them. I think that's the one that's catching my eye.
I like those too.
You like those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Bryan has a pair out here, so.
Yeah, I probably would not want to be wearing a pair right next to him wearing a pair. I would not want that.
So that would not go kind of like if you want to wear a shirt off, it would be next to DK because it would be so much of a drastic difference that nobody would care. It wouldn't be the same way.
The more I think about it, now that you're right, yeah. Because I don't think any woman would look at a man next to Chris Bryant and go, they're all supposed to look like him.
They're all supposed to look like him. If so, we're all screwed. All of us. We're just done. It is what it is.
It would be that would just be unfair. It'd be like me saying to every woman that you should look like what's her name? Alex. She just won the World Cup. Alex Morgan. I want to say Martin, but I knew that wasn't right. Yeah, it'd be like me telling every woman, you're supposed to look like her.
Yeah, whatever her fitness level is, just copy that. No big deal.
Yeah, copy that. Let that be your standard.
So you watched no World Cup, I saw.
I didn't. I forgot that it was coming on at 10, and I had because of upcoming travel, I had to alter my workout schedule, and so I did my Monday workout on Sunday. And so I was at the gym, and my thought was, well, when I got there and I realized it was on, I thought, well, maybe it'll be on one of the TVs and I can kind of follow it. And it was not on any of the TVs, and I did not have the ability to change the TVs, and there was nobody there to change the TVs, so I was stuck following along on Twitter.
I laughed a little yesterday morning because my picture of the Netherlands is they're a very, very polite country. I've always heard their fans for soccer are awesome, and they come across as very polite to me. And that was emphasized yesterday morning. Their official soccer team puts out this video. Did you see this? And it was probably a minute and a half, minute 45, and it was essentially an American hype video. And it's showing a bunch of American highlights, and it's thanking the women's national team from America for growing the sport and showing that dreams can come true and all these different things. And then maybe the last 10 seconds, they show some Netherlands highlights, and then one of the girls from the Netherlands just goes, "See you tonight." And that's it.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
It told you how, because I don't think we see it in this country, but it showed you in that country, which is a soccer crazy country, how much the American players served as sort of role models for those girls as they were growing up.
Because the Netherlands, I don't think, had a professional women's soccer team until 2007. I think I saw that somewhere.
Oh, yeah. It's such a big sport, women's soccer in this country. All I could think about yesterday is kind of it ended. My girls were not into soccer, either one of them. But obviously, with Carson playing as much soccer as he does, and all the tournaments that I go to, and I see all of these girls' teams, I just kind of thought about how many of those, like, little girls watched yesterday and dreamt, like went out in the yard and pretended to score goals the way that I probably did when I was a little boy when I watched baseball. Or when I watched, basketball or football or whatever. And soccer's, I think it's got to be the biggest women's sport in the world.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a sport that more girls play. And
the Americans have been at the forefront of the sport for a number of years. I mean, dating back to Mia Hamm and Brandi Chastain and all those when they won the World Cup.
It dominated, yeah. And I just thought it was, I don't know, I kind of just thought how cool it would be, there's some 10, 11-year-old girl out there that she wakes up today and she can't wait to go to practice. Can't wait to go to practice. Because she got to see that. It was neat. And I don't know. I wrote about this a little in 10 Thoughts. I'm so sick of everything being politicized. Everything. Everything's an indictment on a president or whatever. Just, I don't know why. Some people, man, they just must be really bored. I don't think about it like that. I just thought how cool it is. But it's on some of the players, frankly, for making it so political. But that's their prerogative. It's their moment. It's their platform. They can do with it as they choose. For me, it was
the perfect storm because you had you have a president who wants to go at them if it happens, and players who wanted to take him on. So
yeah, and I don't know. I'm hopeful that for that 11-year-old girl that I just mentioned, I'm hopeful that all of that stuff just went completely over her head, and what she saw was that, hey, if I work really hard, I can achieve big things.
Yeah, I'm not knowledgeable enough to have a soccer discussion about equal pay and that kind of stuff. I'm just not. I understand capitalism enough, or not even necessarily capitalism, but just finance enough to know that some of that is based off how much the sport makes, obviously, because I've seen a lot of people say the women actually get a higher percentage than the men do. It's just that the discrepancies in how much the sport produces is so different. But that really wasn't my point. My point is that I think the entire sport, frankly, has become so politicized that we can't figure out where to stop it. It means it has to be politicized at every single level whatsoever. Because, frankly, I listened to G-Pitch. You guys talked about it a little bit. I completely agreed with you that I thought there could have been maybe some more positive things done with the moment and the platform that these players have had, Megan Rapinoe and some others. Again, they get their platform, whatever they want to do with it. But I did feel like that. However, I did think that Rapinoe and the women had a very apt point about FIFA scheduling multiple men's tournament finals on the same day, because the World Cup dates were already set way in advance. the men knew or FIFA knew exactly the dates for that, knew that they could put it some other day, they could play it the day before or whatever, and then they admitted to the error and said it was simply a mistake, they never even looked. I did think there was an argument to be made, but because there's so many arguments being made right now, I think that every single one loses a little bit of luster because it's not a very direct thing. It's 10 different things that we're all trying to discuss at one time, and that sort of dilutes the entire message of everything. My opinion. But
yeah, it's probably true.
I think a lot of people, if they are turned off because it's not one thing. It's as soon as they turn it on, they're getting just inundated with all these different either political or society, messages. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I don't know how many people watched was it the Gold Cup final last night?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I wasn't interested. I was interested in the women's game. Would have watched it had I kind of thought about it that morning.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, well, they're great.
And I mean, I'm so tired of they got beat by a men's. Okay, well, yeah, duh. Okay, thanks. That has no relevance to anything. That has no bearing on anything. Don't care.
No,
come on.
They're elite athletes at the very top of an international sport.
I mean, that's the equivalent of the guy who's watching a really good high school or college football game and goes, "Yeah, but the NFL players would beat them." Well, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no shit.
Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't stand that. Well, she's the greatest women's tennis player in the world, but she would never be able to. Oh, I get that. She doesn't. No one's asking her to.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Trout's the best baseball player in the world, but I doubt if he'd get any at bats for the Astros. I mean, I doubt if he'd get to play for the Raptors. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard wouldn't play for the Astros. What difference? I can't stand some of the stupidity out there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I hope that some good messages resonate. I hope that societally this means something. I mean, because that's the whole thing with soccer in general, and I don't care either way. I'm not a soccer guy. I'm certainly not a soccer hater. I like the sport well enough. I enjoy international competitions. Tournaments are fun. Brackets are fun. I like them. I do wonder, though, is this something that is potentially some sort of catalyst for more involvement, for more whatever, or are we simply doing what we do with soccer a lot, which is sort of just spinning our wheels and it goes back under and comes back and does that whole game over and over again? I know you told me at the youth level it's much bigger than ever, but I do wonder from a not even say market share, but just an overall talked about level, just being in sort of the forefront. Is this a change, or are we still going in a cycle? And I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer. My gut feeling is it's probably cyclical.
I mean, because they're not going to get huge numbers for a professional women's game in a couple weeks when they all come back on the. I couldn't have even told you the name of their league before yesterday.
No, and they don't get the numbers that the MLS gets. They just don't. They don't, and so I'm not going to. I'm like you. I don't know enough about all of the dynamics of how they're paid, where the money comes from, how it's generated. I don't know. So I'm not going there. It's, the WNBA only survives because the NBA props it up. Why is that? I don't know. One's more entertaining than the other.
Yeah.
Beats me. But I've never considered myself a sexist. I'm just kind of a capitalist. But the Women's World Cup was very entertaining. It was fun to watch. It's cool to see the country rally around people that represent our country. And everyone was cheering for the American women to win, and they did, and everybody was happy, and it was neat. I don't know why. Sometimes it can't just be that simple.
Yeah. I liked it because it was neat. It's a very simple thing these days.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. They're great players. I love the spirit with which they play.
You're not turned off by their celebrations.
No, Megan Rapinoe was asked, what is it about this team? And she said, we're kind of crazy and we never quit. Cool. I like that. They're fun. I don't care if they, who we beat, like Ghana or somebody, 400.
Trinidad and Tobago, maybe? Was that what it was?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't bothered by that any more than I'm going to be bothered when Alabama beats Central Coastal Connecticut.
Well, and that was the only team that appeared to be just complete garbage. All the other scores were relatively close.
Yeah, and that team, I'm sure those players all went back to wherever it is that they were from and said, hey, I got to play against Alex Morgan. For 90 minutes, I was on the same field with the greatest players in the world.
It was probably a similar thing, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, relatively speaking, to when, the 92 Dream Team played in the Olympics. Beat the crap out of whomever, and all those guys asking for autographs when the game was over. From Jordan and Bird and Barkley and those dudes.
Sure, and all those guys, that's something that they'll talk about till their final breath.
Yeah.
I got to play against Michael Jordan and
Trinidad and Tobago's coach, unlike Jason Simpson for UT Martin, did not go into that game going, hey, we're going to go get this one.
No. We're just going to go have the experience.
Enjoy the moment. No. Enjoy it. You get 90 minutes on the pitch. Have fun.
We got to play in the World Cup.
Yeah, and we're going to play a team tomorrow that's much more manageable. Let's see how we do with that one.
Yeah. Let's just go have a moment. Make sure you get the picture taken.
Oh, gosh. Podcast brought to you in part by G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar in Oxford. Give them a call at 662-236-2222 to move all your medications over there. You don't have to stay with the big box chains, even if yours got swallowed up by one of them. Head on over to G&M where they take care of you. They get to know you, and they also have compound creams for multiple different ailments if you need something for nausea and vomiting. Erectile dysfunction, Finnegan gels, again, for that nausea, acne with compound creams as well, with eczema and other skin conditions, and pretty much any compounded medication that you may currently be using. They have great prices on that, and they will put them together for you here in Oxford. Again, that's 662-236-2222.
The internet, man, is a different place. The podcast also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, that's the place to go. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast, or at RebelGrove.com. You'll get Rebel savings on top of your already great bottom line deal at Grenada Nissan. We're also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's a big part of Savannah Square, which is a new 9-acre development 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square, conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center and all that houses. Savannah Square will initially consist of 32 standalone detached structures ranging in size from about 1,100 square feet to about 2,400 square feet. The model home available for your inspection at 215 Williams Street. These homes have wonderful layouts, impeccable finishes, which you can inspect at the model. So give Harry a call, look at the model, get more information about this great new development while they're still available. SavannahSquareOxford.com or 662-801-5621. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person, no 10 buttons to push, no 5 minutes to wait. OUB offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000 and refund ATM fees nationwide. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more, go to liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. You probably saw, if you follow basically anyone, Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., and the Memphis Grizzlies all pointed out the crap take of the day and the year and the decade from our friend Dan Wolken. The crap take of the day brought to you by Scoopers Pet Waste Removal, LLC. Everyone loves their pets. No one loves stepping into their pet stuff, though. And certainly no one loves tracking that stuff into your house. So Scoopers will go into your backyard, your apartment complex, or condominium and pick up what no one really wants to pick up. For $10 a cleaning, Scoopers will clean up your yard, and they'll do it on your schedule, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, or a one-time service. No contracts required. You can cancel at any time. If you have multiple dogs, it's just $2 for each additional dog. So if you own a home, a condo, or an apartment complex in Oxford, and you'd like to deal with a lot less crap, call Scoopers 662-506-2754, or simply send them an email at scoopers.oxfordpetwaste@gmail.com to get your cleanings scheduled today.
It was all sarcasm, Neil. He was kidding. 100%. It's all a joke.
Oh, yes.
Had no seriousness whatsoever. It's really on everybody else for thinking he might have been serious. They're the idiots.
He's unreal, man.
It's a good word.
But he got exposed for how hard he tries. I mean, why you would go after two NBA players clearly just watching a game, having some food, is beyond me.
At the arena, went at the concession stand, had some fries, whatever.
Crossed my mind to criticize Jaren Jackson for eating chicken fingers. Literally, I don't think that thought would have ever crossed my mind.
Jaren will be all right. It'll work out.
Yeah, I mean, look at him.
He'll burn it off today.
I mean, he had a very successful rookie season. He's clearly an elite athlete.
Blamed NBA TV because they were the ones that showed it.
Yeah, it's just he tries way too hard. And then people call him an NBA reporter. I don't actually think he is an NBA reporter. I don't think he's good enough to cover the NBA. And his response to that would be, well, you're not either. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm surprised the guy's still employed at USA Today after the Tennessee email thing, honestly.
Got completely just brushed away by employer and everybody. Nothing.
Yeah, just dismissed. I have a theory on it. I can't say it out loud, but...
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. By the way, we mentioned the Gold Cup. Mexico won that 1-0. It appears the U.S. had a couple chances early, and then
1-0
Mexico scored and played. And then played keep away. Whatever. Everyone understood. Nothing. 0.
0.
Love. I said this in the pre-show. Well, not really with the pre-show. We don't really talk about what we're going to say. The number 1 seed was beaten at Wimbledon this morning, and I had no idea. I had never heard of her. And now some of that is because I'm nowhere near as involved with tennis as I used to be. But still, you would think you would hear of the number 1 seed. I could not have picked her out of a lineup. I'm not sure had you given me 5 names and said pick the actual tennis player, I could have gotten it. I don't know what that means or says about anything. It's just an observation.
It's funny. I watched I was on the Peloton and I had it on. I watched some of Roger Federer's 3rd round match against a dude that I'd never heard of. And I thought to myself, who besides Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal could you name today? And I'm not sure I came up with any names.
Oh, I mean, I could do a lot more than that, but...
But when I was a kid, I knew all of them, man. It was a big deal. McEnroe and Borg and Tanner and Ivan Lendl and Boris Becker and Vitas Gerulaitis and Jimmy Connors, Mats Wilander. There were all these guys. It was a big deal, and it's not even a fringe sport anymore.
So you don't think if I pulled it up, the top 15, 20 players in the world, you don't think you can name 5?
I know I couldn't name 5. I could name 2.
Well, you could get 3 because there's 3 off the top of your head that are ranked the top 3 in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Tennis rankings. I mean, go ahead and start. I'll have it up in a second.
Djokovic.
Yeah.
Federer.
And Nadal. You don't think you can name another one? You could, I think, there's a couple that you definitely should get. John Isner is ranked 12th in the world.
Okay.
Stan Wawrinka is ranked 19th in the world.
Okay.
Juan Martín del Potro is ranked 11th in the world.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, I can't name anybody else.
Okay.
And on the women's side, right now I could say, well, there's Serena, and there's Venus, and there's the Coco girl who I could never have named before last. Is she still in it?
I think she plays today. I haven't seen a win or a loss today, but she plays today.
15-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The top 3 women in the world are Ashley Barty, Naomi Osaka, and Karolina Pliskova. Angelique Kerber is at 5. You might have known her. You know Petra Kvitova at 6. Simona Halep, 7. Sloane Stephens, 9. Serena, 10.
Sloane Stephens is Dr. J's daughter.
Is that true?
I don't know.
Vandeweghe is kin to the other Vandeweghe.
Yeah, Kiki's daughter.
Yeah. Wozniacki's 19. Madison Keys is 16. You probably would have gotten more on the women's side, frankly.
I'd have had to really think about it.
And you really would have needed a list or some sort of help. I don't think you could have just pulled them up by memory.
No. And I remember, again, when I was a kid, I mean, like Gabriella Sabatini, and there were lots of them.
Really sad news since the last time we did a podcast. Thoughts and prayers with the Tony Robichaux family. University of Lafayette head baseball coach that had a heart attack and then ended up passing away a couple weeks later. He died at the end of last week. Obviously, he was the head coach of the Raging Cajuns when Ole Miss won the Super Regional there in 2014. Just a really good man from what everyone says. He had been at Lafayette for a really, really long time. He's given multiple kind of speeches and talks that people remember just about coaching culture and kids and college baseball and the whole thing. So just awful news, and frankly a week of awful news. I mean, again, thoughts with Lake Little's family after that plane crash on over the weekend at the University golf course. Just I don't know. I mean, it's been a tough week, frankly.
Yeah, it was a tough week. I watched I don't know how I ended up watching it. I ended up watching some of the Angels Astros game yesterday in Houston. And you just kind of felt bad for the Angels guys. They played hard. They lost, not because of a game. Screw that. It was just they're playing this game against Houston, and I thought about them. The game went extra innings. They lost in the 10th. And I thought what it must feel like for those guys yesterday to get on that plane back to California for the All-Star break, thinking, well, that's a trip we'll never forget for every wrong reason.
It hadn't really stuck with me that they haven't been home yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the trip, their Texas trip, and and then I wrote this in 10 Thoughts. We were outside, and that helicopter, the life flight helicopter, went right over our house, and man, it was moving. And I remember saying to Laura, I wonder what that was.
So this would have been the way in. It was coming to Oxford.
Going to her, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that thing was moving fast. And then I got a text from you. You'd gotten a text from Brian Scott Rippey. And as that day unfolded and you heard about it, just, God. Not heartbreaking, heart-wrenching.
An 18-year-old starting Southern Miss in the fall.
Yeah, and a girl who the more you read about her just was an achiever.
Yeah.
Not that one 18-year-old life is worth more than another 18-year-old life. I'm not saying that, but this girl was probably destined for big things.
Yeah.
And just, like Laura said, can you imagine being her parents? I was like, I said, I'm done for the day. I don't want to imagine it. Don't want to think it. Nope. Can't. Don't want to. But yeah, hearts and thoughts and prayers, and I don't know. There's nothing anybody can say in those situations.
Yeah.
At that point, I was glad when Carson came out and said, so where do you think Westbrook's going? Kind of good. Yeah, let's talk about something that doesn't matter. Yeah. That we all get worked up about, but doesn't really matter.
Where's the millionaire going to play basketball next season? Okay, fine. Let's have that conversation.
Where's Russell Westbrook going to make the remaining $170-something million on his contract?
Yeah.
Whether it's in South Beach or Houston or Oklahoma City or New York, he's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Gosh. Your 10 thoughts are up at rebelgrove.com. Plenty there, plenty on the site. We don't know what we'll cover this week, but we'll probably cover something. So we'll get to that. It is All-Star break for Major League Baseball. We might talk a little baseball, actually, as the week goes on as well. So appreciate all the listens, the continued support, and we will be back with you tomorrow.